What's the matter? Yeah. Making friends, influencing enemies.
My daughter, first thing I got home that night, or she was taking pictures.
It's gotta be 11 o'clock, ain't it? All right, it's after 11. I'm gonna call the meeting to order. Please turn your cell phones or mute them or turn them off. Becky, we do roll call.
Sure. Bob Olson,
Here.
Tom Kitson,
Present.
Jack Scrogstad,
Here.
Mike Copine,
Here.
Mike Zeman,
Here.
Jim Sheeline,
Here.
Tom Wilson.
Here.
Thank you.
Thanks. Any public attendees, anybody want to talk to us? It's Clay, Dave, Dean, Nancy? All right. Nobody. As far as the approval of minutes, if there's no changes or corrections, we're going to let them stand as read. We're going to leave them stand as read. We'll go down to reports from committee chairs. We'll start out with Mr. Zeman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Claims Committee met twice. December 20th, we approved 92 claims. Second meeting was on January 3rd. We approved 27 claims. And that's it.
Any questions for Mr. Zeman? Thanks, Mike. We'll go to County Services, Mr. Scrogstad.
Yes, our committee did not meet due to the weather and the closing. So the department head reports are on the agenda. And there was some action items for the transport, for Lee County Transportation. Dave's here to talk about those. We weren't able to go over those or discuss any of that. So later on, when we come across that, he can talk about it if you've got any questions. Other than that, I don't have anything.
Any questions for Jack? Thanks, Jack. Public Safety and Court Services Committee, Mr. Copine.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was not able to attend. Mr. Hudson did attend for me, and I'm extending my apology for not notifying him. I was sick. I didn't know if I was even home or not. But anyway, that I did go through the minutes, and the department head reports are there and are available through the meetings packet. So we can go through any questions that you have. If not, that's the report.
Any questions? Thanks, Mike.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
We'll go to Facilities Maintenance, Mr. Wilson.
Our committee did not meet due to the weather. A couple things to talk about. Now that it's good and cold, we're going to start the elevator project. Outside, it's going to take a couple weeks, starting in a week to 10 days. We're starting the treasurer's office remodel February 1st. And Jeff had his first successful snow removal. And that's all I had to report.
Sounds good. Are we doing the treasurers ourselves? Treasurer's office?
Yes.
In-house?
Yep.
All right. 30,000, what do you?
Whatever was reported to Mr. Sheeline.
All right. All right. Any questions for Tom? Thanks. We'll go to Finance, Mr. Kitson.
Finance met this morning, thank you, Mr. Chairman. A brief meeting, thank you. It was a brief meeting, wasn't a whole lot going on, just normal reports, and I believe that's all we had.
Yep. Mr. Sheeline, you got anything you want to share with us?
Nope. Nope. Mr. Kitson covered it well.
All right. Any questions or comments? If not, we'll move on to administrative report. Jeremy, you got anything you want to share with us?
The only thing to note is what I shared at the Finance Committee meeting is that there is an Allied Facility Partners invoice that came through that is with the HVAC program across the street. It is for $381,186.74. We realize we need to actually get a board action request form out through the board process. And that will be completed and actually be on the full board meeting next week.
All right. Nancy, did you hear that? We want to put that on the agenda. We'll go through the agenda later, but don't let us forget that, okay? Board action request. Any questions, comments? Thanks, Jeremy. We got department head reports. I see we got Terry Zink with us. Terry, you want to go through your report with us, or you just?
I just wanted to, well, the graphs were sent, and I didn't know if anybody had any questions. Other than that, I don't really have anything. Other than maintenance is working on some, outside doors for the kennels for winter. That wind, when it's out of the west, blows in there pretty good. Right now, we're stuffing towels. So, otherwise, I don't really have anything.
All right. Anybody got any comments or questions? Thanks, Terry.
Yep.
Alice, I see you're online. Do you want to go through your report?
Good morning. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Essentially, there is nothing coming to or from zoning or planning. And the reason I just wanted to bring to your attention that last Thursday, the Zoning Board of Appeals heard an appeal of a decision made by the zoning office. Essentially, in November, our office made a determination of what is meant by adjacent non-participating with regards to solar. It's their position that the term should be defined as any dwelling that is owned by a person who is not a party to the proposed use and sits on a parcel that shares a property line with the leasehold area or the boundary of the lease area of the solar system. My determination was that adjacent non-participating means any dwelling that is owned by a person who is not a party to the proposed use that sits on a parcel that shares a property line with the project parcel, with the project parcel being defined as the parcel cited in the zoning petition on which the proposed project may be cited. The Zoning Board of Appeals heard both positions. They ended up making a determination which upheld the decision of the zoning office. However, there were comments made that maybe we need to relook at the screening section of the solar ordinance as we keep having issues with it. If there's any questions.
Questions or comments? Nope. Thanks, Alice.
Yep.
All right. Being the department head didn't get to do the reports due to the meeting was canceled, I'll go around. Clay, do you want to give your report?
Sure. For the month, I don't know if you guys have it on the onboard system or not. I didn't see it, but for the month of December, it looks like we had 698 calls for service. As far as notable calls, on December 4th, the evening of December 4th, we responded to the area of Sterling Road and Walton Road for a fatal hit and run traffic accident. A 40-year-old victim, Patrick Yoakum from Rock Falls, was struck by a vehicle. The vehicle subsequently left the scene. However, evidence from the grill of the vehicle was identified. We put out a press release on social media, and shortly thereafter, the following day, the suspect actually called and turned themselves in. So we are still working through that investigation with the state's attorney's office. Charges will definitely be forthcoming. The other incident we had December 17th out at the Magnuson Hotel, there was a disturbance with a subject brandished a firearm against another resident at that facility. We cordoned off the area. We're able to look at surveillance video, verify indeed he did have a firearm, multiple firearms on his possession at that time. We were able to evacuate the area rooms, tried to establish communications. We activated our joint operations group, our tactical team that we cooperate with the Dixon Police Department with. Attempted numerous times to make contact, even brought the sister of the individual who was identified as a Stephen Armosky. He's got quite the checkered past over in Whiteside County, a lot of weapons violations, violent guy. But to the point he wasn't responding to us, brought his sister in to try and establish communications to no avail. Ultimately, upped the ante, tried breaking windows, tried using a drone to look inside the room, again, to no avail. So ultimately, we had to resort to using gas, and that worked perfectly. It came out shortly thereafter. So Worked out well. The cooperation between agencies, state police had several troopers on scene. Dixon Police had numerous officers on scene. We had numerous officers on scene. So everything worked out I couldn't ask for a better ending. That's all I got this month.
Awesome. Any questions, comments? Thanks, Clay. Dave Anderson, do you want to give your highway report?
Sure. There's quite a bit of work going on, but not a whole lot to say about it. We've got a lot of work either done and ready to go for letting. There's a letting schedule out there, or it will be done here in the next few months. A lot of different projects, well over $5 million worth of work. Also started in on bridge inspections. We got about 100 of those to do this winter, primarily January and February. January's are done now. Got a bunch in February. And I got a board action item, and just, again, as a reminder there, Tom, April 1st, electronics will start back up again.
All right. Any questions or comments? Do you do your bridge inspections yourself, or do you bid that out or hire that out?
No, we do that
Okay.
ourselves, yeah.
Cool. All right.
It's a real regulated process. There's kind of there's a whole routine to it, and a bunch of different forms, and a lot of different things you do when you find certain things, and so on and so forth. So, and it's a pretty extensive file that we keep on everything.
All right. Thank you. Nancy, I see you're down here. Do you got a report to give?
Didn't have much on there, Bob. The biggest is next week is the 17th, and that's the last day for anybody to withdraw and come off of the primary election in March. And then just next week, I'm supposed to be going to a conference in Peoria, and I don't know right now, that's up in the air with the freezing cold weather.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks. Any questions or comments for her? Thank you. Moving on, the rest of the reports are in your onboard. I have nothing under old business. New business, I have a resolution requesting consent to reappoint of the incumbent as county engineer. Is there a motion to move this resolution requesting the consent to, yes. Do I have a second? Mr. Kitson moves. What did you move on? What was that?
Motion to appoint.
I like it. Mr. Cobain seconds. Any discussion? He was trying to help me out from reading all that, all right? Which I appreciate.
Hear what we were voting?
We're putting it, so we put it on the county board agenda, is what he moved to. I have a first and I have a second. A lot of issues, but other than that, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion moves to put that on the county board agenda. I've got a couple things for information only, the 2024 Highway Department project letting schedule. That's in your onboard. I didn't see it, but I'm sure it's in there. Okay. That's just for your information only. And then we have a social media policy draft. Jeremy, you want to share that with us?
Yeah, sure. So this has been a little bit of a work in progress over the last month or so, with the need to get a Lee County General social media platform out there. I noticed that we did not actually have governing or guidelines as a policy in place for that. So with that, I've been really trying to structure this around other Illinois municipalities or counties, been gathering a multitude of different policies and trying to understand how some folks are utilizing that and work some of those principles into our policy. I did communicate with our state's attorney and he's given me some advice on some tweaks. We tried to make some of those tweaks. So what you see is kind of the latest version of what.
Actually, I don't see anything on mine, not coming up.
Jack, would you be able to refresh your onboard by chance, back out and open the book back up?
Okay. Can you pull it up here or not?
So some of the items that you see on there were added after the agenda was posted. So the county board members have a lot of it, but it can't be seen by the public because it was added after, so.
Go ahead and go on and I'll get it.
Okay. So as a general setup, we just have an introduction on what this policy looks like. There is a piece in there, obviously, as elected officials in their departments have governing control over their departments. So there's a caveat in there on that, if they have their own implemented social media policies in place, to utilize those, but if not, to utilize this policy as governance if they so see fit. It just talks about authorized personnel and equipment. It talks about the use of social media and the expectations of between the departments with department head control over all this internally as well as their internal authorized personnel. There's some content guidelines in there for posting for our standpoint from the county's use, trying to make sure that we're accurate, we're transparent. We're only using, again, department authorized content as best as possible. So we're not having any communication errors with that, and obviously discussing, non-posting of sensitive information and things like that. Bless you. There is a section in there for record management. It discusses that, any sort of communications made on county social media is, subject to FOIA in certain aspects. So the issue with that is trying to create an actual record retention policy built into this. Speaking with Paul Gorski, our IT director, our IT department does not have that capability to do so, nor does, I would assume the departments to actually physically, or not physically, but, actually maintain a actual social media retention scenario that we will need. So I put in there a recommendation of how to do so, and this came directly from the state of Illinois. But with that, we're looking at a third-party company that will be able to actually pull in all of our social medias from across the county, whether it's the sheriff's department, ours, as the Lee County General, or the health department, and they will actually create that database for us. So if there is a FOIA request, we could then easily search that, pull up the data set, and shoot that out. So we're looking at trying to figure out what that cost is going to be. I'm waiting for a quote back from them so that we are able to process those requests accordingly. And then on the back end of that, there is a section that says public digital policy, and that is essentially a policy that will be posted for the public's use. There is a concern with censorship, of public comment, making sure that there's, we're being open to freedom of speech, and all those things. Again, a lot of this text came from actually some of our Southern County partners down there, and what they've found successful, and I've been able to clean some of this up for our own purposes. So, there's the term of use policy out there for the public's use. It talks about some of the prohibited content that we're expecting them not to post on our social medias. Again, if they do post some of that prohibited content, that's a discussion that then we have to have with our state's attorney's office to make sure that that is something that we could either pull down or not, and how we work through that process. So there is a disclaimer on the back end of this. And again, what this policy piece is for on that side of it is for the public use, not necessarily for internal use. So I'm trying to cover all aspects of this. This is going to be something that will probably evolve over time. There's going to be a handful of amendments to this. I guarantee in the future as we come into certain use cases, things happen. Specifically, I know, immediately as soon as we are able to create the proper record retention policy built in there, not just have a recommendation, that will change. But I wanted to make sure something was in place before the county has a general account out there to make sure there's at least some governing guidelines.
I think our main goal of doing this is to get more information out there for, people are more social media and our meeting dates and stuff like that, or snow closings or weather closing. Clay, your sheriff's department uses social media. Have you had many problems with it at all or not?
Not since I've been there. However, I know there was an incident in the previous administration where an employee was disciplined for abuse of social media policy.
Was that posting on the department or their personal?
It was posting department information on their personal.
Okay. So maybe that's something we need to address as well or something.
Yeah, and there's some guidelines in there for that, is talking about how, sharing of use of personal social media and how that correlates with, the county structure.
Charlie, I don't want to put you on the spot, but you're somewhat comfortable with this?
Yeah, we took a look at it, and like Jeremy said, we made some adjustments where we think it needed to be some adjustments. And, to Clay's point and to what we were just talking about there, I think the employee handbook touches on a lot of that as well. So I think having both of these documents in place will cover most of the scenarios that we'll encounter.
Yeah, and on that point, there is a social media piece in the employee handbook that talks about how employees should be using social media. This is more of a county-wide structure and how our social media pages should be operated. So there's a supplement to that.
All right. Any questions or comments?
I just wanted to comment that for the county board or the county, in a sense, to have a social media account is what we're trying to do, is to pass information on to the public. Because again, our local news media isn't the greatest when it comes to, sharing some information that some good things that we've done. And they're just not here. And they take bits and pieces of maybe what they watched on a video, YouTube video, and put it together, and they didn't get all of it. They're not here to ask us a question, to follow up with the questions. They're just making assumptions. So I think that if we can designate somebody, Jeremy, to put things out, and limit the amount of people that have access to posting, information, I think that way it's going through one particular area. I know the sheriff's department has a few people who they entrust to post certain things out there, and, like the city department too. Of course, those are comical ones as well, but, I don't think we need to get into a comedy-based. I think ours is more of a serious thing. So I just think that we have, one central person to make a suggestion to who that person is, Jeremy, to put something out, and then he can pick or choose or discuss it with the chairman whether or not to do it or not.
Yeah, I think, just what happened the other day, we closed the meetings. It's just nice to get out there in the public. The paper's too, it's not timely. We do it on the radio, but this would be another avenue, so.
Yeah, the newspaper put out there what all things were closed, but you had to be a subscriber to the newspaper in order to read it.
Yeah.
Unless you got a way to get around that. Somebody did a screenshot of it and posted it out there. So, I mean, it's just something free that we can send it out there to people.
I'd entertain a motion to put the social media policy on the county board agenda. So, Mr. Cobain moves, Mr. Scrogstad seconds. Is there any discussion? If none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. I have no appointments, no raffle reports. Everybody get a chance to review the per diem report for the December meetings with February payout. We'll go down to executive session. I'd entertain a motion to move to executive session for the purpose of 5 ILCS 102/2.06, examination of past reviewing past executive session minutes. Do I have a motion? Mr. Kitson moves. Do I have a second? Mr. Wilson seconds it. Any discussion? All those in favor? I think we got to do a roll call vote on this. So.
Bob Olson?
Yes.
Tom Kitson?
Yes.
Jack Scrogstad?
Yes.
Mike Zeman?
Yes.
Jim Sheeline?
Yes.
Tom Wilson? Mike Copine?
Yes.
Oh, we can just sit right here, huh? We just sit right here and everybody's running around doing stuff.
Yeah.
We can just sit right here, everybody's running around doing stuff, getting ready for this meeting.